You know that feeling when your alarm goes off and before your feet even hit the floor, your brain is already racing through everything you need to do. Texts, emails, errands, work. Maybe even worry? It's like the world is shouting go before you've even had time to breathe. But what if just 5 intentional minutes with God could shift all of that? The truth is, the first moments of your day carry incredible power. And when you start them with God, you're not just adding a spiritual to-do. You're setting the tone for everything that follows. Psalm 5 verse 3 says, "In the morning, Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning I lay my request before you and wait expectantly." David didn't rush into the day unarmed. He came before God first. He made his needs known and waited with expectation, not anxiety. Giving God your first 5 minutes isn't about checking a religious box. It's about giving him first place. When we start our day with him, we invite peace instead of pressure, clarity instead of confusion, and surrender instead of striving. Even if you're not a morning person, this small act of devotion can completely transform your inner world. All it takes is a pause to acknowledge God's presence, a simple prayer of surrender, maybe a verse of scripture, and a moment to just listen. You don't need a long sermon or perfect words, just a willing heart. Personally, I've lived both ways. I used to grab my phone first thing, scrolling, stressing, reacting, and every day felt like a scramble. But when I began giving the first 5 minutes to God, my whole perspective shifted. My heart felt steadier, my mind calmer. My day didn't magically get easier, but I wasn't walking through it alone. That sacred space in the morning, however small, became an anchor for my soul. So wherever you are in life, whatever your mornings look like, I challenge you to try this. Give the first 5 minutes to God. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just be honest. Tell him, this day is yours. Watch how everything else begins to fall into its right place. Start with God, and you'll find strength you didn't know you had. If you're willing to give him those first moments, just say, "God, you go first," and let that simple declaration change everything. There's something sacred about the early morning, before the emails start buzzing, before social media pulls you in, before the noise of the world begins to rise. It's in that quiet space, when everything is still and your soul hasn't yet been clouded by distractions, that God waits to meet with you. Jesus himself modeled this rhythm in Mark 1 verse 35, where it says, "Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed." If the Son of God, who carried the weight of the world, knew he needed to rise early to connect with the Father, how much more do we? The truth is, those first quiet moments before the world wakes up are some of the most spiritually potent of the day. They're not just about asking God for things. They're about learning to sit in his presence, to breathe before the busyness begins, to remind your soul that before anything or anyone else has your attention, he does. Meeting God in the quiet is not about performance. It's about posture. It's about saying, "Lord, you are more important than my schedule, my scroll, my plans, or my pressure." It's an invitation to divine alignment. When you sit with God before the chaos begins, you don't carry the weight of the world. You walk with the one who holds it. And something powerful happens in that space. Your mind clears, your heart slows, your priorities shift. You stop bracing for the day and start partnering with God through it. Even 5 or 10 quiet minutes spent in his presence can anchor your heart and fill you with a peace that surpasses understanding. It's not about waking up at 4 a.m. or checking off a religious duty. It's about creating space. And here's the beautiful part. God doesn't need grand gestures to show up. He just wants your availability. A whisper of a prayer, a verse whispered aloud, or even just a few moments of silence where your heart leans in. He meets you there. There's something about choosing him before the world gets a chance to shape your mood or direction. When you start with God, you move from reactivity to intentionality. You live less from pressure and more from presence. Over time, this quiet practice becomes more than a habit. It becomes a holy refuge. I can tell you from personal experience, on the days I start with God, I live with more clarity, confidence, and calm. I handle interruptions with more grace, and I notice his hand in places I would have missed before. The quiet of the morning isn't just empty space. It's a meeting place, a sacred pause that changes everything after it. So even if you're not naturally a morning person or if your schedule is crazy, consider this. Just 10 minutes earlier, just one small window of quiet time can open up something powerful between you and God. It's not about how long. It's about being intentional. When you give God that space before the world wakes, you're saying, before anything else defines me today, let it be your presence. And that choice, simple as it seems, can realign your whole day. Let your mornings become more than rushed routines. Let them become sacred rhythms. God is already there in quiet, waiting, whispering, inviting. All you have to do is show up.